I kind of like this unscripted version because it allows me to express myself the way I need to and be my true, authentic self. I'm your host, Kenny Cruz, and this is Gaytopix Confessions. These are real life, true events. There's nothing fabricated or fake about what I'm saying. These events actually happened to me. I'm here to tell my story. As a gay man, we all have stories. This is my story. This is my truth. These are my confessions. I keep talking to a camera because there's nobody else. There's nothing here to do. There's people outside right now having a good time with the music blasting and celebrating a birthday with all the neighbors and stuff, and I'm here sitting by myself. I've never been to a barbecue in God knows how many years. I remember, in junior high and maybe in high school, one or two, but yeah, that's as far back as I can recall. I don't go to barbecues or birthdays or graduations, and no one's ever been to mine. No one celebrates my birthday. I don't even celebrate my birthday. That's how bad it is. I remember being a little kid and my mother bringing out the cake every single year, and it would only say happy birthday, Kim. Kim meaning my twin sister. I am a twin. Imagine you being 7, 8 years old, maybe even 10. The cake is there and your mother starves you essentially, so you see sugar and you want it because it's filling, and it doesn't even have your name on it on a day you should be celebrated, or a day you should be praised and excited and worthy and loved. I stopped eating that cake. I did. I stopped eating my mother's food for a while because at one point I actually think she was trying to poison me. She used to be an RN at Long Beach Memorial Hospital in Long Beach, Long Island, and she would steal medications, and she was fired, of course. So she would steal medications, i.e., getting her addicted to OD and have her issues with that. And I used to think that she would crush up her pills and put it in the food with what little I had to eat. So I had no choice to eat it, even though it tasted horrible. I stopped eating her food once I turned, I think, 14 when I started working at Burger King. I stopped eating her food altogether. I just could not, like, I waited almost 2 days sometimes to get food, and then the food that you give me is portioned and it tastes like crap. like I I remember her putting something on my hands to stop me from biting my nails. Well, you see what that's done. I'm 50 years old and still biting my nails. She used to put this thing on my nails and it would taste like crap, but I would still eat my nails. And I had no choice but to eat it. And sometimes I amaze myself by how long I can go without eating. Because sometimes I would have to look out for my little brother and he would eat before me. And then my mother would actually cook, and then it would be a line, and I would always be the last in the line. And I told you a story of me fighting the dog for food, and it was just, why did my mother try to kill me? Why didn't she succeed? Why didn't my suicide attempt succeed? Why am I here to go through all this? I go through a lot. And I've only gone through war and people's blood splattering all over me, and after being shot point blank range, me trying so hard to and beg people to like me. I remember I asked this girl, her name happened to be Kim too. I remember asking her name, her name is Kim, and I remember asking her, to celebrate my birthday. And normally when your birthday is celebrated, you go through, you don't have to pay for anything. Everything is taken care of. Not with her. I actually had to pay my way, and I was very disappointed, to say the least. But then there were other times on my birthday where people did things, but then the following birthday they didn't, and expected me to do things every birthday they had. To me, that doesn't make sense, because sometimes I didn't have the money to buy a gift, And once I stopped doing that, then they stopped giving, and that to me ruined the idea and notion of Christmas and birthdays. Like, does that even make sense? You give from your heart, not because you received. It's really, wow, it's profound when I think about it. What can go through someone's mind that they do that? I guess I would know, because I haven't celebrated a birthday or done anything in years. And it's sad, but what is your birthday? What is it? You are. It's just another sad reminder of where you are in life and what's going on and what's missing. Does that make me depressed? Do I look depressed? Do I sound depressed? Some may even argue that. Yes, but you don't know me. You don't know me. You don't know anything about me. None of you do. Nobody does. This is the whole issue. There's not a single person who knows anything about me or knows me as my authentic self but me. Do you know what my favorite color is? Do you know where I want to go on vacation? Do you know where I've worked? Do you know that I was a former porn star? Do you know that I was a former sergeant in the army? Do you know what my hair color is? Or even if I have hair? Do you know where I live? Do you know my middle name? Do you know anything about me? No. So why are you allowed the authority to dictate my life and tell me how to live my life and how I should feel and what I should do and what I shouldn't do, or who I should be and who I should not be, and tell me what to do and tell me what not to do? I'm tired of living in this bubble full of people telling me these things, and I can't express myself because I'm not being heard or seen. This is why I'm talking to a fucking camera, because there's nobody who understands my life or understands what I've gone through. To tell me that I'm depressed or that I'm suicidal or that I'm trying to kill or harm somebody, just because I've been through hell and back does not mean that I'm a threat to anybody or to even myself. I want you to look up. Look it up. I'm not a threat. And you know what? Because there is no social media history, you don't actually know me. So anyone who thinks they know me can't even go back and do a search to find me, because there is no search. I don't exist. I've never existed. I've been crying for years about this very problem. But nobody listened. Nobody listened. And here I am, a 50-year-old man, and never been in a relationship, don't have any friends, don't celebrate my birthday, been stuck in the room, don't go out, don't do anything. I'm all by myself. Who? Who? Who are you going to send? Somebody who is going to probably forcibly remove me from my house. Now, do you really honestly believe that is the answer to dealing with a mental crisis? I'm going to put that in quotes, a mental crisis, because that's what you supposedly think you know about me and think that I'm going through. So you think someone going through a mental crisis, having them forcibly removed from their own comfortable setting where they know it's safe? No. Do any of you believe that? Now, everyone's talking about this whole reform of the police thing and bring, social workers and things like that. Even that's not going to help. The crisis hotline doesn't help. You removing that person from their safe space is the threat and the trigger that will probably cause them more stress and harm. And you're not looking out for their well-being. And I mean they, me. You don't know me. You don't know anything about me, so stop dictating my fucking life. All of you. I'm tired of it. I have a voice. I have an opinion. And I disagree with all of your actions. It is inappropriate, inhumane, and very disrespectful. And a disservice to me as someone who served in this country. You don't treat anyone like this. You don't even treat your fucking dog like this. Who do you think you are? Oh, because you have the degree, everyone has to side with you now, and then there I am, left all alone in a setting that is under extreme duress, and in an environment that most likely I don't want to be in. These people don't know me. I feel like I'm Britney Spears under a conservatorship where all these people are dictating my fucking life when they don't know me from a can of paint. Oh. Don't do that, because then they're going to think that it's a threat. Don't do that. You can't even show some type of fucking emotion. This is why mental health really needs to be said and talked about. And we need to have conversations about mental health awareness. Because people don't know. There's nothing wrong with me. I've been never medically diagnosed with anything over the 200 therapists and doctors and social workers and caseworkers that I've seen in my lifetime. Not one of them has ever prescribed any medication. I am not crazy. And nor should anyone believe that I'm crazy that doesn't know anything about me. I don't understand how they have so much authority over me and they're strangers. These strangers have so much power over me. I have no voice. I have nothing to say. I might as well just stand in a corner because everything that I'm going to say and do is going to be judged and analyzed and inappropriately diagnosed. What is the point? There's a stigmatization there. There's stigmatization with race. There's stigmatization with being gay. There's stigmatization with being from the army and having PTSD. There's stigmatization with mental health. There's stigmatization for being from the ghetto. There's stigmatization from not having a good education. There's stigmatization, within the community of being fat and, there's so much hatred. Where is all this coming from? And all these people, therapists and social workers and psychologists and, caseworkers are just doing their jobs. So how are they allowed to do this to someone and get away with it for so long? And this person, me, I've been crying and complaining for so many fucking years. And nobody cares. Nobody cares. Because the abuse keeps happening. And it's all different forms of abuse. But it's still abuse. And it keeps happening. And it needs to stop. I am stuck inside my room. And I in these four walls. But this is where I feel safe. At least there's a TV. Or there's not somebody walking around in those sheets, those gowns that they give you in the hospital that expose your ass, There's, or a fucking nurse offering you some type of medication to make you like a zombie. I'm not crazy and I don't need that. I just need you to listen. Because I'm talking, you're just not hearing. What I'm saying is wrong. Do you honestly believe that? I am a threat to you? You may not agree with what I'm saying, just like I don't agree with what you're saying. But because I don't have a degree in what you study or what you believe, does that make it right? Does it? Does it? Well, yes, it has made it right because they've gotten away with it for years. And it's been going on for so many years. Again, it's all different forms of abuse. And I'm not trying to play a victim because there is no victim. I've had a hard life. It is what it is. And all I do is fight. I fight for everything. But I'm doing this battle all by my fucking self. I live in one of the greatest cities in the world, in a beautiful neighborhood, but yet I'm all alone and have nobody. I've never been in a relationship. I don't have any friends. I have so many nieces and nephews that don't even know I exist. How is that even possible? You as a human being, okay, you may not like me or want to associate with me, but what gives you the right to say he does not exist, don't talk to him, or don't know him, or don't even speak of him? I am a person. I exist. I'm here talking to you, to a fucking camera. I'm here. But why is it not important to you? Why is it not a necessity for you to associate with me? So many people tell me stories of, or you see so many stories of love and people being together and celebrating holidays and birthdays and having children and living these beautiful lives, and here I am all alone. This is why I don't go on social media. I hate to compare myself as the former one-term, twice impeached, disgraced president, but I've been banned from Facebook, essentially. They put my account in memorialized state, so I don't have access to it. And I haven't been on it for years. So even if these supposed strangers were to do research on me, they wouldn't find anything about me because there's no history. There's no history. You don't see anything. So the only history you know is from another stranger's opinion. And I'll give you a perfect example. I attempted suicide and I have severe neurological damage. I have trouble talking and trying to understand my movements, but I can barely move. And I went to the hospital for special surgery. I did an episode of Gaytopix where I was in the hospital, and I was seen by no less than 12 doctors who followed one opinion, and that one opinion was from the first doctor. And they all followed his opinion, each and every one of them, essentially copying and pasting the notes of the first doctor into their own notes as if they read it themselves. I actually saw them doing it. And the first doctor, it said that I need to do surgery. So if it is required that I need surgery, why isn't the surgery done? I was asked the question, why don't I have an emergency contact? And I thought perhaps maybe that was the reason why they didn't want to do the surgery, because I didn't have someone there with me. I don't have an emergency contact. Again, I don't have any family or friends, and no one celebrates birthdays or holidays or Christmases with me. It's just me by myself. And it's been me by myself since I've been home from Afghanistan in 2005. It's a long time. And if you want to include, while I was away, on deployment, that's 10 years added to the already 20. I don't know why people don't like me. I don't. And I don't know why they have the authority to dictate my life. I don't understand that. There's a commercial for Hermain Law, where it says for child sex abuse victims, if you have a voice and you need to be heard, to speak up, and your voice should not be silenced because we're here for you. But that doesn't apply to me because my sexual abuser was not a clergyman or worked in the archdiocese and, was not a, priest or anything of that nature or a teacher. So there's nothing to win or compensate from that. But yet here I am and going through this torture and reliving the abuse because he's a free man. He's essentially gotten away with murder, like OJ, and he's walking to this day for abusing me and touching me and hurting me and oh, can you imagine that on your shoulders? Imagine that on your shoulders. Can you seriously be sane having that on your shoulders? I've been through a lot, so that's really nothing for me. But it is, disheartening to know that he's still walking free or has not been held accountable for his actions. I bet you he would admit to this day that he did something because he had gotten away with it for so long and his guilt had probably, destroyed him mentally by now. I'm more than certain that I should do an investigation on that, I really don't want to relive that trauma, so it's best that it's gone. It resurfaces, but he did essentially get away with murder, as did my mother. There's so many times that I really think she tried to kill me, and it boggles my mind on why I was not loved and accepted. Out of all her children, there were 5 of us. I was the only one. Starved and neglected and abused and beaten and arrested. I got arrested once for protecting my mother. She claimed my stepfather was hitting her. They had a history of violence. I don't know what, looking back at it now, I think she was the aggressor and he was just putting up with it. But the way she would portray it to us was that she was being abused and he was hitting her. And I remember she called the police on me because I tried to intervene and stop them from fighting. Because every time they fought, we were forced inside the room. My family, and me personally, were forced inside a room to be quiet. Shh, 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 they're arguing, And again, I was silenced, My mother had me arrested and put me in jail as a kid. Perhaps it was maybe to learn my lesson because I spent the night there, but perhaps it was to learn a lesson to stay out of their business, but I did, but it was really disturbing, and the cops had to do their job, and some of them felt bad for me as they passed this locked cell, or handing me my bologna sandwich, for dinner. But they had to do their job, and she came for me late the next day, like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But it is what it is, and I think back at it, and my mother is the cause of a lot of things in my life, because had she actually been a mother figure and very nurturing to me, like she was to my other siblings, I don't think I would be this way. But because she did those things to me, does that make me mentally insane or something wrong with me or that I'm going through a mental crisis? I'm 50 years old. I could be going through a midlife crisis, but I'm not going through a mental health crisis. I'm not depressed. I'm not suicidal. I'm not any of these things that these people claim me to be. These people don't know me. They don't know anything about me. And they have so much authority. And my mother allowed it to happen. I can actually say that I'm a ward of the state because my mother essentially gave up care for me long ago. It's like every time that I was in the way, she did something to get me out of the way. Like being arrested or starving me or beating me or simply not caring, because there are times when I would go outside and I would be outside till 5 o'clock in the morning and she didn't care. I would drink alcohol and she didn't care. I would smoke her cigarettes and she didn't care. My mother did so many things to me and she just wasn't a mother. And it, although you may find it disturbing hearing it, you know, because nothing had happened for so many years, I blocked it because I had immediately joined the military, and I stopped all even thinking about all that stuff, because as soon as I turned 18, I was now being brainwashed into the military and taught to act a certain way and do a certain way and walk a certain way and conduct myself in a certain manner and do things as I'm told. No questions asked. So all that abuse and negativity from my mother was never really addressed because I had other things to worry about. Because when you're at war, the war never stops. Like, you have to be aware and awake at any given time. So I was always focused on my training in the military, which is why I made it to sergeant. I was a sergeant in the military, in the goddamn army. Don't you have any fucking respect for someone who served this country? For you to have the authenticity to fucking think that you own me or know what's best for me when you don't even know my fucking favorite color? You don't know anything about me, and it's really disturbing that you control me like I'm in a conservatorship. And I'm talking to you, meaning all you therapists and psychiatrists and counselors and, caseworkers, because there have been over 200 of you in my lifetime, and I'm tired of being evaluated and, misdiagnosed or misjudged or analyzed and, targeted or quoted, because you're there to fill your job and, do your job and fill your quota, because that's what you're there for, even though you may think that it's wrong. All the experiences I have gone through, the EMTs always had their, part to play. And I am very grateful for EMTs, not only because they're the first to arrive on the scene, but they're the ones who actually understand what happens. Because they would tell you that the police are going to do this and do this and do this and this and this, and to prepare to do this and do this. And sometimes tell you what to say. At least in my case, they have, and it has helped. So, in other cases too, sometimes you get the same EMT to your house, and you know them, and they understand the situation. They diffuse it immediately, or dismiss it, But being forcibly removed from your comfort zone is not going to help someone that you think is going through a mental health crisis. I don't get it. I don't get it. For anyone who's going through a mental health crisis, do you really think putting them in a hospital like it looks like jail? And I mean this literally, because I remember telling the officer that it feels like I'm in the tombs. Like, we went 2 levels down, everything was brick, and it was dirty and dingy, and there are roaches, and everything is locked and key, and, iron doors with gates, and, bulletproof glass everywhere. And it was like, I feel like I'm in jail, and this is supposed to be a mental ward and like I'm supposed to feel comfortable here. This is ridiculous. And this is what I'm saying. It's like anyone in their right state of mind or with common sense would simply know that putting someone who's never been in a setting like that is only going to cause more harm and duress to that person. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of, people having to, you know, dictate my life over and over and over again and have so much say over the things that I do and how I move like I was in the army. Because now that I've been home since 2005, I essentially don't have a voice. I'll get into all that, but I'm generalizing here because I'm at a point right now where it's gone too far and I really need to speak on it. And I am. This is Gaytopix Confessions. I'm your host, Kenny Cruz. These are true life events. These are actual experiences I've gone through in my lifetime. There's nothing fake or fabricated about what I'm saying. Everything is truthful. All rights reserved. I'm even using people's real names. So check with them. This is what I'm saying. I'm trying to edit it out, and you can't really use people's names because that's probably legal shit. I'm not making any money off this. I don't want any money off of this. I just want you to listen to what the fuck I'm saying. This is why I'm talking to a camera, and I've been talking to a camera. I want people to understand what it is that they're doing. Your consequences and your actions are making me this way. So many, studies have been proven on these serial killers that they've come from broken homes, so they're more likely to create, murder and commit crimes and do all these things because they come from broken homes. But many people who come from broken homes don't have murder inside them. I don't. I've gone through it. I was in the war, and I didn't like it. I cried. In fact, when it happened, blood all over me, and seeing bodies everywhere, it became so normal to me. Living in a ghetto was the same. I used to joke around and say, I feel like I'm at home because I see dead bodies. Seriously. When you live in the projects, that's what happens, it's so funny how the tables have shifted. There are times now where I don't even want to say that I'm a veteran because there's a stigmatization there. I don't want to say I'm a veteran because it's damaging. I remember once I was told from a life coach to take it off my resume. It's like, don't say you're a veteran on your resume. And I said, why? And he said, because people would think that you're crazy and not hire you. And once I took it off, I started to get interviews. And I was like, oh shit, he's right. So there's a stigmatization there, It's like, what is it that I can do that you're not going to have a problem with? Or that you're going to find me okay to like, okay to love, okay to accept, okay to listen, okay to hear? Tell me what I'm doing wrong. You don't. You just have an opinion. All of you have opinions. You all have opinions, but you don't have progress. Because here I am, and the same things keep happening. Again, I mentioned in an earlier episode of, the definition of insanity is you doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. The same thing keeps happening to me over and over and over again with different outcomes. Does that make me crazy? The same thing, I'm not controlling it because all these people are controlling it. All of them are doing it because they have notes. And they're all sharing their notes. And they all claim they know me. And they have transcripts and all this shit on me, which I can't see. These are my fucking notes. These are about me. You think that I have every right to see it? No, I don't. So they can see all that information and they come up with their own biased judgment on me before even meeting me. Or even before they even spoke to me. This is what people need to understand about mental health. Not everyone can deal with it, or not everyone is trained to deal with it. And when you're put in a situation that you think is a crisis, putting them in another situation that is going to be far worse is not helpful. Or you misjudging them or misdiagnosing them is not helpful. Why don't you ask a fucking friend? I don't have any friends, so all you could do is listen to me. So hear me out when I speak. Hear me out. So mad. I'm tired of this. I'm so fucking fed up with it. And people think you're crazy. And the more you try to defend yourself, the more it seems that you're crazy. To them, at least. And to everyone. So why even bother? Why? If you're just going to be judged and hated on anyway. Sometimes I wonder why I'm still here. What's my purpose? To go through all this? I didn't ask to go through all this. I didn't. I didn't ask to go through all this pain and trauma. It just so happened that it is. But what makes me different is that I'm doing this alone. Alone. I am all by myself. Anyone would have committed suicide long ago. Yep. Or at least they have somebody there that they can trust. Or they can cry on their shoulder. I can't touch anybody. It's COVID. I can't touch anybody because they're all strangers. They don't know me. I haven't been invited to their barbecue. Like, I remember once I was mad at my therapist because I had seen her on the street and I waved to her. She didn't wave back to me. And I had seen her for about 3 years at the time. For twice a week for 3 years. And I waved her and she didn't wave back. She knew everything about me. But she couldn't have the decency or humanity and respect to wave at me. So she says to me, well, I was with mixed company and I don't want to introduce you as a client. So, it's best that I didn't say anything. But you not recognizing me is very disturbing. A lot of things I'm saying is disturbing. So viewer discretion advised. But again, these are all real life events. These are actual events that happened to me. These are true stories. All rights reserved. These are Gaytopix confessions. I say that Gaytopix confessions because I'm your host, Kenny Cruz. So I have to use my platform in a way that I can be as vulnerable and honest and transparent as possible. And I feel I've been able to accomplish that simply by just talking to a camera. Although there's nobody here, or there's nobody watching or viewing it, at least it's out there. Because there's no history of me. There's nothing. Nothing. I did one of those ancestry things, and it traces what you put in. So to me, what I think I know as my family is what I'm going to put in, because that's all I know. But like I said, for now, all I know is that they're probably not my real family. That's why they are estranged from me. That's why they don't speak to me. That's why they don't like me. Because you don't do that to blood. You don't. You find a way to help them escape murder, and make them on the run for 3 weeks, You help them out whenever they need it. And here I am. You literally threw me under the bus and ran me over 5 times. And I'm being continued to be run over pushed in this hole full of dirt, and I'm trying to dig myself out, but the tires just keep running me over. And these are the people like therapists and social workers and psychologists and all that stuff. You don't know me. Nobody knows me. And I'm tired of saying that. I'm tired of it. And I'm tired of doing what I can to prove to you that I'm not crazy. Just because you tell me to act a certain way does not mean make it right. Doesn't make it right. I'm an individual. I have every right to do things my way. It's my life. People say, oh, all you do is talk about yourself. All you do is this and all you do is that. And like, well, all I can talk about is my life because it is my life. It is my life. This is all I know. Oh, but it's so negative. But all I know is negative. I don't know anything positive. And when there was an opportunity for someone to do something positive, they disappeared, or they weren't there, or, they were nowhere to be found. But funny how when money gets involved, everyone seems to show up. That shows you how deep shit is. There's a lot of questions that I have in relation to my mother, but I can't because she's dead. So I'll never get those answers. There are so many questions that I have that I could ask my brothers and sisters, but I can't because they blocked me. Or my aunts and uncles, I don't even know them, or nieces and nephews, I don't know them, so I don't know what they know. I don't know what they've been told. So it's just simply best to be estranged and act like they don't know me, and I don't act like I don't know them. And that's how it's been. And it's been that way for over 2 decades. And it's really disappointing. It's really hurtful. Because you're all alone and you're by yourself, and nobody wanted you or liked you in the prime of your life, and here you are, ugly and old and lonely, and you only have but so many years left. What if I do live to 100? Am I going to live the same life that I lived the first 50 years? Yes, because things have been the same and no one's heard me, and I don't want to live that life. So I'm doing this, and I hope this helps. I really do. It's difficult at times, but I really do hope it helps. Because I need to get it out. I need people to see my perspective and understand my point of view and understand what I'm gone through in my life and how hurtful and betrayed people have done, how betrayed I've been by so many people. People who I trusted. People who I thought were looking out for my well-being and my best interest. But were only looking out for themselves because it was just their job. Or they only had a quota to fill. Or they just didn't simply care. Like, there was this one time I had a caseworker. Her name was Libby. And I had her, and we got along so well. And the only reason why I had her was because I had an incident in the office and with a security guard who beat me up, who was a woman. I never put my hands on any woman in my entire life, but she accused me of doing so. And the entire office, who weren't watching, but they came out of nowhere like roaches, all started to agree with her and say, yeah, I did this and I was arrested. And I could never go back to an office unless I had a NYPD security guard with me. So they gave me a caseworker to get the police officer, and we all went together to the office. And to do so, it took weeks, sometimes months, just to make an appointment, just to have an NYPD officer escort me to the office. But in doing so, I got to know Libby, and I got to know Libby very well. And years have passed, and they reassigned her, and she, reassigned me back to her caseload. And I knew her for about 9 years. And when I really needed her the most, she disappeared. In fact, I have never spoken to her since that day. And I needed her most, and she wasn't there. A simple phone call or an email or a text message would have been suffice, but she completely ignored me as if I was nobody. Somebody you knew for the past 8 years. You ignored and blocked them, and not knowing what it would do to me. It's very troubling and hurtful, because it's like you don't care about what your actions are going to do to me. You're just worrying about yourself. I can go on and on. There's so many of them, but the abuse comes in so many different shapes and forms, but the abuse is still there, and it's still allowed to happen. How do I get it to stop? How do I get it to stop when everyone has a say and an opinion about me, and I have no voice, or I have no say? How do I get it to stop when all these people seem to dictate and seem to think that they know me when they've never met me before? Or that they think that having me forcibly removed in handcuffs from my house is appropriate for someone in my statute. I'm tired of feeling this way, and like, what do I do to make it stop if I have no voice? That alone is a stigma. That alone is the stigma about mental health and mental health awareness. Because just because you have a license in something doesn't really mean that you know what you're doing. And when you're dealing with someone who has a mental health crisis, you really need to be careful with what you're doing. And it's unfortunate that I've been victim to all of this and continue to suffer the consequences of other people's actions and inappropriate behavior. And the more I stick up, the more I'm frowned upon and shunned and thought as crazy or mentally unbalanced or mentally unstable or depressed or suicidal. These are other people's opinions and views. They do not dictate who I am or what I'm feeling. Moreover, I just lost my dog of 21 years. I'm still grieving. So perhaps you confuse the two? I know they did on the crisis hotline, which I don't call it a crisis hotline anymore because of that. There's a difference between mourning and grieving. Mourning and depression. Grieving and depression is different. There are two different things. I'm not depressed. I'm not suicidal. I'm not crazy. I'm not... I'm tired of being viewed as wrong. I am. When am I ever going to be right? When is someone ever going to be proud of me? When is someone ever going to look up for me and look out for me and say, I got your back? When? When?